I've been using Linux for about 4 years, and during this time, my feelings about it have been all over the place. It's in a ways that I love and that I feel that it's exactly what I'm looking for, but at the same time, it frustrates me. I get happy because I can truly do what I want, then something doesn't work. I think I have everything working, and then my computer starts randomly crashing. I switch to another distro, it's missing something that I need, and then I give up. During these 4 years, I've actually never stayed on Linux for more than like 2 months. I would always find myself going back to Windows or macOS, and then I would get bored, try Linux again, and get even more disappointed. With Windows 12 looking like it's going to be a letdown, and the Mac being in the weirdest place it's ever been, and Linux having a massive booming user base, even though it's now the most fragmented it's ever been, I don't know what computer lifestyle I should choose. I've never talked about Linux in this channel, and lately, I've got some hard feelings about it. This is actually my 3rd attempt at a Linux video this year, and I think I should just make it now and just get it over with it. Everybody says that getting into the world of Linux is actually pretty easy. Just download one of the many distros that are basically the same, just slightly different and slightly flawed in their own way, that you're gonna be for sure making the wrong choice of distro, and someone's definitely going to point that out in the comment section. I use Arch, by the way, and you'll flash it to a USB drive, go through the should be painless installation process, unless you use Arch, which, by the way, just use Arch installed. It's actually gotten good enough to the point where I don't get any errors with it. Then everything should work fine with no need to install any drivers, because on Linux, it's all built in and it all works. Except on NVIDIA, which means that you will run into some issues, then someone's gonna tell you to just buy an AMD Radeon card. Never mind, it also has problems, especially with the 7000 series. And then what everybody seems to say nowadays, you can do everything through the graphical desktop with no actual need to go through a terminal. And that's a lie.
Most of the time, you can use it like Windows, you can use it like macOS, and just pretend like the terminal doesn't exist.
And the first problem you'll find is that it looks way too small on modern laptops with high resolution displays. Windows usually defaults to 125% or 150% scaling on things like my ThinkPad X280 and Surface Pro. And Linux has no such thing as 125% scaling. It's either way too small or way too big. You can fix that with, you guessed it, a terminal command. So first up, make sure that you're using Wayland as your compositing system, then if you're using GNOME as your DE, go to your terminal and type this command to enable fractional scaling. These words mean nothing to people who are new to Linux. What's a Wayland? What's a GNOME? What does DE mean? What does this command do? People say to not run on commands that you don't recognize, but that's what Linux is all about. And then you will find that most apps look blurry. And the response to that is, just wait, because it seems that this already niche OS needs even more complication to the developer. And that is because we're in a transition from the X11 compositing system to the Wayland one, which is way newer and has way support for everything and stuff. And again, this thing is complete gibberish to a normal person. And apparently most apps like Discord are still in X11 and they don't do fractional scaling, which is at 1.5% thing, so they look blurry. The system that is apparently, open source, you can fix everything that you want and everything that's broken, is literally telling you to just wait this simple thing out, even though we've been waiting for like 4 or 5 years for this. And don't even let me get started on getting actual work done. At first, the flow of this video was to actually go through the process of making another video on Linux, and then to just talk about how the experience was. However, I ran into a brick wall at step number 1. You know how gaming on Linux seems to be so great now? Well, it's not like this in productivity. People say to use open source apps because that's kind of what Linux is about. But almost every open source app that I need to use for my YouTube work is not good. Even the humble Audacity that I use for recording is missing a lot of features that I need. That's even if I get the microphone to work right. I don't know when they start happening, but now every time that I plug in a new microphone to my computer, the gain is up to like plus 20 decibels, so it sounds super blown out and like overmodulated or whatever. So I have to go to the settings and set it to be like really quiet, so then it works right. It's something that I've never had to worry about, it usually just works. I don't know. For video editing, something that I do for hours at a time, I'm basically cornered to use DaVinci Resolve. Open source apps like Kdenlive are getting better, but they're still not as good as like Premiere CS6 from 2013. And other paid apps that I do know how to use are not available. However, not even Resolve is good on Linux. It misses support for basic audio and video formats or codecs, meaning you have to transcode every single clip on your project. Something that for me scales up a lot. Sometimes to 500 clips. And the installation process is an absolute nightmare. And I'm gonna walk through that. Alright, so this is a clean installation of Arch Linux on my desktop PC. It's a Ryzen Radeon system. First thing that I did is to look up the download for Resolve, as it's not available in the App Store. Looks like version 19 is finally out of beta, so that's why I downloaded it. While it was downloading, I decided to find the Arch wiki page for Resolve, as it had the necessary OpenGL and OpenCL drivers that I need to install for Resolve. You just need to decipher this grid of text, which is no easy task. Then I remembered that I actually made a text file with the correct drivers because I already went through this hell. It's these two, but there are also some links that I totally forgot what they were for. I went on to install Yay, which is the thing that I need to install the stuff, and I installed those packages. After about 5 minutes of waiting and a game of Tetris, they were installed, so I tried installing DaVinci Resolve. Oh great, first error of the day. This program is an app image which requires Fuge to be installed, so I just installed it. Now it's a different error. Could not load, even though it was found. Reinstall the application might fix the problem. Well, this is the installer, so. I decided to Google that error, tried some commands, and instead tried to install Resolve to the AUR package, which is not an official thing, but whatever. I left to get some bread and returned 10 minutes later to it still being not done. After a good 70 minutes of installation time, it was done. I added Resolve to my dog, ran it, and nothing. Actually, kind of expected. I tried running Resolve from the terminal and found this great thing. It stays running, but it just throws some error about log4cxx, which I have no clue what it is. Might be important, might not be, but I just checked what the Arch wiki says. Wiki says to rename the file to something else. Sure. No such file. It does not exist. Great. Let's see what Google says. Not much. Seems that if I install the package tbb2020, it should fix it. No package found. I decided to download the text that I had in my text file, and turns out that there were downloads for the older version of drivers that I installed earlier. That's because the last time that I did this was with a Resolve 18, and it broke something with the new drivers, so I had to downgrade them. So I compiled those packages, which is to just run this command, did the same for the other one, and whoa. Ah, yes. Welcome to dependency hell. Linux programs work with other programs, and sometimes they don't match up. So you just get this thing where it says where it cannot fix those dependencies. I pressed no to see if I could skip it. It didn't, so I tried again and said yes. And it still doesn't work. I tried the installer again. Holy shit, it runs. Reinstalled Resolve. Oh, a new error. Seeing a new error is usually a good thing, so I checked the wiki which said to just move some files, did that, tried again, and nope, the log4xx thing is gone, but it still doesn't launch. I tried rebooting to see if it would work. Oh, fuck it, I'm going to uninstall it. There are two now. Oh no. Fuck this piece of shit operating system. And so I returned to macOS and observed the simplicity of pressing the install button and it actually working. It's crazy how it took me an entire hour to get to nowhere. And I can even use Premiere, which is a program that I prefer over Resolve. This is the actual experience of using Linux. Try to burn a CD or run VMware. It's hell. You know for what? Privacy? I'm already using Google services. They already know everything about me. And Amazon has my home address. I've got worse problems I might have to deal with than Microsoft or Apple watching me ignore their web browser. And open source means nothing to me because I'm not a programmer. I also don't care about customizing my desktop to be super efficient. Using a Tally Manager, it works with my keyboard and stuff. I like to just use my computer. Sometimes I'm in bed, I don't need to have cool shortcuts to do my things. No, sometimes lazy. Macs can be as overpriced as you say, but so are new ThinkPads, which the Linux community is so... Ooh, look, ThinkPads are so cool! And look, Windows and macOS, they're not perfect, but so isn't Linux. Stop pretending that Linux is a silver bullet to everything. Sure, it revives old computers, but what do you do on those computers? Web browsing is still slow, and unless you're a programmer, which is the main user base of Linux, well, you've got nothing to do. On my EEPC video, people said to install Linux rather than using the 20-year-old Windows XP. And so I did. I haven't touched that computer in 3 months, because it's still slow, and I've got no use for it, but at least it runs free software. And look, someone's definitely going to comment some way to fix my troubles, and I appreciate that, but I can't be complaining on the internet every time that I have to install a new program. Sometimes I need to do the thing now, not in an hour. If you go to the Arch wiki, there's a section in the FAQ that says, why would I not want to use Arch? The first point is you do not have the ability, time, or desire for a do-it-yourself GNU Linux distribution. And also, you believe that an operating system should configure itself, run out of the box, etc. Looking at this makes it look like Arch Linux is not for me. But these points are true in any Linux distro, not just Arch. In fact, I use Arch because it's actually the easiest one to fix when something is not working. I'd rather use Ubuntu, but AMD has not published new drivers for the new system, and I'm not going to use a 2-year-old system. I'm not going to keep using Linux, even on PCs. I'm probably just gonna keep trying Hackintosh, maybe even deal with Windows, which is just fine. Before I end things, I just want to say that I don't hate Linux. Like, okay, it's actually a bit of a marvel that it exists and it's almost entirely made by volunteers. But the thing is that Linux is really missing just a unified way of making things work. Everybody is doing their own thing, they're all trying to fix what other people are doing, and then everybody tries to do their own like way of packaging programs, and then app image, and then Flatpak, and then snaps, and whatever. And because outside the kernel there is really no anyone who is like saying things should be this way and really making sure that things are everything as they should be. It's kind of just the Wild West, and it's kind of why Android, a Linux-based system, succeeded in the mainstream and not Linux. And no, it's not just because Microsoft has a monopoly on Windows. There has to be a standardized way of doing things. And I know that that's kind of what we're going to with Flatpaks and stuff, but it's only graphical apps. The moment you start needing like dependencies and installing stuff on the terminal, you're in this mess again. Honestly, I could talk about what's wrong about Linux, and I just feel like I'm complaining and people are gonna get even more mad the more words that I say, so I don't know. Look, I've tried my hardest to like Linux. Again, 4 years of using it. And people are gonna say, well, if you're complaining so much, why don't you just fix it yourself? Because I'm not a programmer. If your solution to everything is just fix it, then what do you do if you don't know how to fix it? Don't use the operating system, because it's definitely made for programmers. So, I don't know, you either dumb it down for regular people, or you just leave it for developers. So that's it. I finally given my thoughts on Linux, and I can finally leave it to rest. I might revisit it in the future, but only if there's like a big breakthrough in app compatibility. For now, nah. What are your thoughts? Have you had a similar experience? Do you agree? You disagree? You're probably gonna disagree, but everybody does. Leave a comment. I read all of them. I'm sorry for taking this long to release a video, stuff, but it won't happen again, I promise. So thank you all for watching. Be careful what you say in the comment section, because it's going to be, it's going to turn. And I'll see you on the next one.